So this tank here was about there on the framework that held the spare wheel. I think it was originally here but moved to accommodate the massive water pump, the PTO water pump that used to drive all the washing equipment. So now it's back where it belongs, out the way inside the chassis. And I've got to plumb it in with this hopefully still serviceable bit of pipe. Oh, nice kink in it. This is the prop shaft from the Zil. It went from the engine to the transfer box. This is the first part of the prop shaft from the DAF that went from the gearbox to the, well, on its way to the rear axle through another joint. And I have to mash the two together somehow. And they want to end up as an overall measurement of 600 from one face to the other face. Well, from one face to where this bit goes there. Roughly 600, because there is going to be a bit of give in it because we have a slip joint here, so that's good. I think the first thing to do is to see how slippy the slip joint is. I'm of course bludgeoning this with a copper mallet, so it's not actually damaging the yoke there. Right, I think I might have to get a bit more serious with that to get it go any further. Before I do that though, I'm going to see what I'm dealing with here. This is obviously a tube, but I want to know what the internal diameter of this is to see how it compares to that. Not terribly well by the look of it. So what I'm going to do then is bandsaw off the end and see what it looks like inside. Right, I'm going to cut it there, which is going to be way too long, but it will just enable me to see what's inside there. $84.5. Internal diameter. Right, it's nowhere near that. So it needs to be shorter than it is now. It needs to go to there. So it needs to be about that long. Yes. I'm inclined to think I'll cut this here. And if I cut this somewhere like that, there, that will sleeve over plenty then. As it might seem easier to cut this here and exchange that seam for that, but there'd be no way of centralising this to this. Obviously this needs to be concentric to the rest of that, otherwise it's not going to work. Right. Something like that. that's what we're aiming for then, something like that, but obviously there's too much slop in here at the moment. I need to work out a way of centralising this tube over this tube before I can weld it up. Right, I think I've got a plan. I can extract this end from this bit, because this shaft here comes up to about there at the moment. So if I can get this cap off, I can pull the whole thing out. Then I'm going to put this bit, I'm going to cut a section of this really hefty tubing that I've got, really thick wall tubing, and I cut about that much of it and fix it onto there. Mount this bit in the lathe and then turn it down until the new thicker bit here slips snugly into there, and I've got a chance that the ends will match. Right, pop this in the lathe to clean it up, and so this is the Soviet bit, this is the English bit, which has to go over there, and so there's a bit of slack at the moment. This is a bit of tubing that I've got to take up that slack. That's going to go on there, and even this on here has got some slack in it. It's not a great fit. So to shim it out, I put a strip of metal in there, and the perfect thickness of metal turned out to be from my from an old bandsaw blade. So I heated it up in the forge until it was glowing red hot and let it cool down, and annealed it enough, because before it was really springy. Now it's just quite a bit springy. So there'll be a strip of this at each end, and that'll take up the slack, and then I can weld it. So I'm going to weld round here, and then remount this in the lathe and turn down this sleeve until it sits inside here. And by that point, this should all be nice and square, sit in there, everything will be hunky-dory. That seems rather close. Break out the posh verniers for this. Spread the welding around to try and not concentrate the heat too much in one spot. So I've cooled it down. I'll get it in the lathe. Right, I'm nearly there, I think. Let's get it out and have a look. So here we see the original Soviet bit. There's the pipe that I added on, which cherry rub plug in the end, and hopefully that should be nearly down to size. I put a couple of steps in the end here, so we'll see if that matches. So this is the actual bit that I want to put on. Very close. Right, so what that means is we're very nearly there. So this step here, which probably not showing up, so this is one diameter, and then this bit here is another diameter, and then this last bit here is another diameter. The last bit is what I want all of it to be, and then it will fit into there perfectly. So I wasn't sure if the lathe would actually cope with this because it's going a bit quick. There's another set of gears in here which I can't use at the moment, the back gears, because the selector's not working to engage them. So if anyone's wondering why it appears to be going faster than it should be, that's because it is going faster than it should be. But we're getting it done. It's happening. It's not terrible. that's my level of engineering. Not terrible. We'll go with that. Right, I think we're there. Get this lump of wood out and we'll try it. There we go. That lump of firewood did its job. Back in the firewood part. Splendid. Right, so I've got to clean the paint off this so I can weld it. That sleeve on there very snugly. And I just, that's what we'll end up with. So that will knock down on there. I'll put a weld around it. Then that screws on there. Make the whole thing about 600mm long. Bishty boshty. Right, and that's tapped home now. That's as far as it wants to go there. So that's all tickety boo. Next then, I'm going to actually weld this bit on. So I'll weld that, clean up this weld that I did. Clean up the Russian weld because it's got a big hole in it. its smallest. We're aiming at 600, which is there. Cock on. So there we have it. Zil DAF hybrid prop shaft. Whew.